Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the episode of today. So today's episode is all about our listener questions. These are the emailed questions. And I just glanced over these titles as well, and I'm loving them. They're juicy, they're great, very head noisy. I'm obsessed. Let's just get straight into it. I'm going to go over 4 questions today. So let's begin. I'm not going to fuck around. Life update, all is well. Everything's great. Okay, let's also, actually, I will give you a life update. How's this for a life update? My dog, Habib, you guys know him, you love him. He's appeared sometimes on social media and the video podcast. He's this American Staffy cross, we don't know what, rescued from the pound. Anyway, the last few days, / about for a month, he will walk perfectly fine, go to the dog park. He goes hard at the dog park. I'm talking, he goes hard with the bigger dogs. He is relentless, never stops. Sleeps a lot at home though. And his left leg, when he's at home specifically, when he's standing, he hovers his left paw, just tapping on the ground. He won't put all his weight on his left paw. But the moment he's running or walking, he's perfectly fine. So I was like, something's up. Is it in his paw? Is it his hip? I was trying to squeeze in his hip. Nothing, no pain, nothing. Took him to the vet, and the vet's like, look, it could be something in his knee. We think it's the cruciate ligament. So it could be a tear. And if it's just a partial tear, we got to give him 2 weeks of total rest. And if it recovers in those 2 weeks and it's the partial tear, we can determine if he needs more rest or if he can slowly get back into exercise, harder exercise. If it's a full tear, then he'll probably need surgery. But then, so we're at the fucking vet. It gets better. We had to sedate him. We had to give him all these drugs because Habib gets really, he loves going to the vet, but the moment you close the door of the room, he gets really stressed. The vet cannot get near him, can't touch him. This is a big dog. You probably don't want to get up in his grill if he's unhappy. So we had to drug him. The poor thing was so groggy. I was like, oh my God, I've drugged my son. It was so just awful. And he was his eyes were all red and, oh baby. Anyway, so he was there, they felt around, whatever. And she said, look, we could x-ray him for $1,900, no less. I'm like, on what fucking planet does an x-ray cost $1,900? But anyway, moving on. She's like, we can x-ray him even though the x-ray, if this is a ligament, an x-ray will not pick up on the ligament because the x-ray is for bones. But what an x-ray will probably pick up on is erosion or damage or arthritic whatever in his knee. But I'm like, bro, if this just happened a couple of weeks ago, then are we going to see much erosion or much damage? She's like, I don't know. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but this is not a diagnostic tool. So why am I going to drop $1,900 for something that's not even a diagnostic tool when we're not even going to get the answers, when you're still going to tell me to rest the cunt? So anyway, we're like, no. So now he's on 2 weeks. She's like, look, do the 2 weeks of rest regardless and see what happens. So he is hating me. I'm getting all these entertaining toys with treats and stuff to stimulate him mentally at home. But he just wants to run free in the park, and he looks at me and he cries every day. But anyway, that's my life update. So I've got a crying Habib in the home. We're giving him lots of love, lots of treats. Anyway. Poor child, but yeah, it's day 4 of 14-day bed rest. He's unimpressed. Okay, let's get into the questions. This one is called, should I have told my friend that her boyfriend was cheating on her? Hectic. Hi, Alexis. Thank you so much for all your episodes. I've been a long-time listener since 2020. We've got an OJ Bean here, and I really appreciate all the work that goes into the podcast, and a huge congratulations on your pregnancy. Thank you. My main question is, why is getting over my best friend breakup so difficult? I lost contact with my best friend around last year, who I'd spent 3 years living with and doing everything with at uni, from waking up to sleeping. Our whole routine was in sync. We ate the same, went to the gym together. We picked the same subjects as well to study. It was literally the best friendship. When uni finished, things started drifting, but I was still making an effort to keep in contact. She'd stopped answering my messages and calls, and that's when we had our first mini breakup, where we didn't speak for 6 months. There was never an acknowledgement. I just stopped messaging and I didn't hear back from her. During the time, I missed her very much, so decided to bite the bullet and just sent her a message. She was very receptive and we ended up talking again. It was like nothing had ever gone wrong. Then, around April last year, I found out from a mutual friend that her long-term boyfriend of 6/7 years had been cheating on her. I asked the mutual friend who he had this information from, and he said the boyfriend's best friend. I slept on this information for a day, and I ended up making the decision that if this was me, I would want to know this information. For context, from Jan to April, we weren't in as much intense contact as we were before. We were speaking every other week. When I told her over the phone, we live very far from each other, so calling and texting was our main form of communication, she went very quiet, which is completely understandable. She said she was going to call him, and that was the last time I heard her voice. I messaged her a couple of hours later, and she said she wasn't angry with me, she was just upset with the whole situation. I had sent the very last message saying that was completely understandable and that she could call me whenever she needed. She never replied to that message, and I did not hear from her again. We had each other on socials in around August. I had deactivated all of my socials bar LinkedIn. I noticed she had removed me off LinkedIn, and my reasoning was that she thought I had removed her off other socials I was deactivated on, so in a haste I removed her too after activating. I realize now that was a very big mistake and very childish. I was 23 at the time, not justifying, but just for context. Fast forward to today, and I've thought about her every day since April last year. What doesn't help is that I saw her the other day, even though we do not live near each other, and she saw me and looked away. I really want to reach out to her, but I also don't want to be the one to reach out again. I just feel like I'm in limbo. I can't help comparing all my female friendships to her and feeling like I will never have the same friendship with anyone else. It was really like we were sisters. I'd found my soulmate in her. We were so similar. She understood me and I her. I just don't know how to get over the situation. I can't deal with constantly battling over the same thoughts over and over of whether I should reach out to her again. So that's what makes me think, should I have ever told her that her boyfriend was cheating on her? Was that my place to say? I feel so guilty, and I'm 99% sure that they are not together anymore. Any advice would be so appreciated, and thank you so much for reading all of that. Okay, let's first address your initial question. And the question is, should I have told my best friend that her boyfriend was cheating on her? Yes. Yes. I can't think of a scenario where, like, imagine in your mind's eye if Tyrone was cheating on me and Liv knew about it and just didn't say anything. Imagine a world where that scenario would exist. Never, okay? So the delivery, was it right? Could I have done it better? There's all these other questions around, but do I personally think that as a best friend, you did the right thing in telling her that her boyfriend was cheating on her? Yes. Because what we also need to understand is that life sucks sometimes, and we are all adults. And I think it is appropriate, especially towards the people that you care about, that you give them the information that is available and they can choose to do what they want with that information. Okay? So if Livs came up to me and said, I know for a fact I've seen it with my own eyes that you are being cheated on, that's one thing. But then she could also come and say, listen, this is what I've heard. I'm not going to get involved. I don't want to say but I'm just telling you what I heard because I'm your best friend and I'm going to communicate what I can. But someone told me through someone else who knows someone else that they think that your partner's cheating on you. Then maybe I would take it a bit lighter. Maybe I'd be like, okay, I'll take that on board, whatever. But irrelevant of how the information came about, you are just relaying information that you think is important that your friend knows. At the very least, it's important that she knows that when you found out, you didn't hoard that information from her. You shared that information from her. So I think that you were just doing the right thing as a friend and saying, this is just what I've heard. I'm not saying he's a cheater. I'm not saying I've seen it with my own eyes. I'm just telling you what I heard. And that's what you did, okay? She's gone all quiet, she's all hurt, she's whatever, which fair enough, because she now has maybe it consolidated something that she already had ideas about. Maybe she already knew, maybe she had no idea. Irrelevant. The point is that to find out that your partner is cheating on you, she's very hurt. So I wouldn't judge her on her initial reaction, because she's being dealt a massive blow. The last thing on her mind is going to be like, oh, but how do I make my friend feel good about telling me about this? That's not her responsibility in that time, right? It's going through a hard thing. We all have to give each other a bit of grace. So in that interaction of you telling her, which I think you did the right thing, her reaction of being super cold and like brushing you and not wanting to talk, that's okay initially because she's just trying to deal with it. What we're looking at here is how things progressed after the fact. This is kind of like what she's doing here is a bit of kind of like shooting the messenger. She's linking you to her pain from discovering that her partner was cheating on her, or from discovering that there were like cracks in her relationship, which then causes like issues and arguments and whatever. He might deny it. They might have stayed together, whatever. But maybe it's started like the doubting phase of her and her partner. And she's linking you to that. So what can you do about it? Yes, you give it cooling off time. You've tried to reach out to her. She's not interested. Literally saw you on the street. She doesn't want to borrow you. So now we're kind of looking at two things. Number one, are you going to feel morally comfortable with your actions throughout the friendship? And number two, what are you going to do about the potential resurrection of this friendship? The first thing is you have to get very, very, very clear on where you stand morally with your actions within what happened. Because if it doesn't matter what I say, if you think, fuck, I should never have told her, then maybe that's something that you want to talk to your friend about and say, from my perspective, I regret telling you because blah, 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 blah. But you've got to morally back yourself on what you did or not. So I think you should back yourself. I think that that's the fair thing to do. I don't think it's our job to shield people from reality. Part of life is painful, okay? And it is not our responsibility to decide what pain our friends will experience and what they won't experience, especially when the repercussions of that thing is going to negatively impact their lives. Like if you don't tell your friend that the partner is cheating on them, then they can't make an informed decision of the person that they want to be with. They are with someone who they don't really know. They don't know something about that person. That's not fair, especially when you have that information and they don't have that information. So I think we can let that one die. You've done the right thing. Moving on. Let's now tackle the actual friendship. There's a couple of things going on. You are mourning a friendship that was incredible, but that doesn't mean let's say it doesn't work out ever again. Then I'm going to say what happens if it does work out. If it doesn't work out, you had this dream friendship where everything aligned, all the stars aligned, lived together, you ate together, you went to the gym together, you went to uni together, everything was incredible. One of my good girlfriends from the Red Bull group, there's like the 11 of us, Danny, we had a very similar thing. We both worked at Red Bull. We both lived together. We'd both go and train at the gym together. We did so much together. Then Friday nights we'd go out for drinks together and then blah, 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 blah. It was unbelievable. So I know exactly what that's like. It's like you're living kind of with a soulmate, but who's the best friend, and it's just absolute vibes. But the problem is that now you're comparing everything to that. What you have to think about is regardless if we become friends again, regardless of what happens, we have evolved and matured. It's been a year or two, like things have developed, things have changed. So if I'm going to try and resurrect this friendship, and if the friendship resurrects, I can't keep comparing it to these glory days of where where there was this particular point in our lives where everything aligned. It could be great, but it's evolving and it's going to be different. Okay. So you have to, that's the first thing that I want you to think about. It's like, I can't keep romanticizing that time and wanting that exact time back, because regardless if you become friends with her again or not, that time is gone. That time has finished. That time is over. So your friendship is going to be different. The components of what makes you guys friends is going to look different. You don't live near each other. Everything's phone calls and texts anyway. So the dynamic is very different. So don't think, I want that again. You've got to think, I want her in my life, because she also, separate to the fact that we had so much fun and whatever, what else does she bring to the table as a friend? What else does she bring emotionally, as far as humor, as far as experiences that we can share together moving forward? That's what you're going to focus on. Then you've got to think, where's the autonomy in all of this? Like, has she made it clear enough that she just doesn't want a friendship with me? Because no matter what, it's 50-50. Or it's 100-100. But the point is that a friendship, no matter how good it used to be, no matter how you feel, no matter how much you miss them, if they don't want to be there, they're not the friend for you. If someone doesn't want to be your friend, they're not a friendship that's worth mourning and crying and being like, I've lost it, of whatever. If you, by doing the right thing morally, lost a friendship, that friendship did not stand the test of time. And that's not a stab at her, it's not a stab at you, and it's not a stab at your friendship. It's certain friendships are seasonal and certain friendships are forever. And if this friendship couldn't survive that test of you being honest, then it just is a friendship that does not stand the test of time. You've done nothing wrong. She might have reacted in the way that she had the capacity that she had to react with at the time. We're not going to be blaming people on what they should have done and who could have been more adult in this. The point is we're dealing with facts right now. If she can't see that this friendship is worth salvaging, if she can't see that you did nothing wrong, if maybe she knows you did nothing wrong, maybe she's aware of all of that, but she just associates you too much with that pain, and she's like, I want a new chapter in my life that includes different friends, different whatever, and she's willing to just, get rid of the friendship. There's your answer. Because no matter how much I love someone, no matter how much I love my friends, if my friend doesn't want to be my friend, and they're actively not engaging while I've reached out, they're actively not looking at me when I'm trying to make eye contact and engage with them on the street, if they're actively showing me again and again that they do not want this friendship, then I need to snap out of it and I need to respect that. You can't be pushing against someone who doesn't want a relationship with you, because the point of a relationship, what makes a friendship, is their desire to also want to reciprocate the relationship. You brought yourself to this relationship. You can also bring yourself to other relationships, okay? Doesn't feel like it right now because you're mourning it, but that's the truth of it. Now, the last thing that you can do, is if I were you, because you're torturing yourself right now. You're going back and forth saying, she was my soulmate. I don't know how to get over it. I'm battling the thoughts over and over if I should reach out or not. Again, you've got nothing to lose. Reach out. I don't think there's anything wrong with reaching out. But you have to be very, very realistic when she replies or if she doesn't reply. Because if you're going to reach out, I always say this, if you are going to contact someone, whether it's an ex-friend, whether it is an ex-partner, whether it's someone who you're in a situationship with, whatever, if you are going to send a message to someone, you've got to really sit with the three possible outcomes of what's going to happen once you send that message. And if you're okay with all three of those outcomes, you send the message. The first outcome is you get everything you want. They reply, yes, let's meet up. Oh my God, I miss you so much. Let's rekindle. And then everything's all well and good. Number one. Number two, you get left on red. They never contact you, never reply, whatever. You've got to be prepared for that. You have to be prepared for that. And number three is their reply, but they say, thank you, but no, I'm not interested. I don't want a friendship with you. I don't want to bar with you. I don't want. If you can say, I need an answer regardless, and by sending this message, I will get the final answer that I need. I will, if I think there's any doubt that this can be salvaged, this will be the one thing that will salvage it. If my friend has any doubt that I want a friendship, even though I surely clearly do, but if they've got any doubt, then this will, quash that doubt and they will, whatever. You've got to ask yourself all these questions, because it's regardless, if the main thing for me, if the top of my priority list is I need an answer, then I would put myself out of my misery and I would send the final message. But if you are if you're being delusional saying, oh yeah, but when I message, it's going to be fine and this and that. Because this is where a lot of people fuck up. They send the message, they don't get a reply. And then they're like, but I really miss them. So maybe in 6 months' time, I'll send them a message again. If you're going to send this message, you have to respect the outcome of whatever may be. You have to respect the outcome. So if I were you, you're torturing yourself, I'm going to send the fucking message, but I'm prepared for all three outcomes. And whatever I get, I'm going to close the fucking door on that chapter. Okay? Whether it's a positive thing, I'm closing the door, we're starting fresh. Whether it's no response, they've answered it. That is an answer. No response is an answer. And when they've come back and rejected me, I will respect that. Okay? That is all. I hope that gave you a little bit more clarity, but I think you were in the right by telling her that. Next question. Dear Alexis, thank you for all of your wisdom. DYFM has been my top podcast for 2 years now. Thank you. I've been going through months of rumination over my best friend ghosting me, and I'd love to hear your perspective. It's too long a story to get into the details, but basically we drifted apart over the course of a year where her priorities changed as she got back with her ex-boyfriend, and I ended up feeling abandoned in key moments in my life, such as when my dog passed away and my birthday. Two events in which she cancelled our plans or didn't show up for me in order to spend time with her boyfriend instead. When I had a chat to her about after the birthday, I asked for clarity on how she sees our friendship, as I felt like we weren't on the same page. She says she feels like she's always walking on eggshells and can't do anything right, and she is exhausted. I told her that I'm feeling disappointed by the same things, and I've tried to resolve with her in the last year. Lack of quality time, connection due to her new priority. So I need to take some time to emotionally detach, as I know that I can't change her. When I messaged her a couple of months later, she has left me undelivered. This has sent me into a total spiral, and I have her words stuck in my head. It's making me feel like I need to apologize and admit wrongdoing. But the other side of me knows deep down that I was true to myself, and I also gave her a lot of grace in situations that were ultimately hurtful to me. I suppose my question is, how do I accept and validate my reality when I know hers is entirely different and positions me as a naggy, entitled, demanding friend? Every part of me wants to understand how it feels like in her shoes, but it is making me confused about how my own shoes feel, and I'm unable to let go. Thank you in advance for your advice and perspective. Okay, so what's happened here is what you see in a lot of fucking friendships, where someone will abandon their closest friends because they get into this honeymoon stage with a new boyfriend and everything just goes out the window, okay? I've seen this happen. It's happened directly in my friendship group. It's happened to good friends of mine and their best friends, where they've drifted and they're just no longer best friends at all. Like they don't even go to each other's like birthdays, nothing. I've seen it a lot. And I think it's really sad, but I think it's also a big test to character, to personality types, and to the relationship as well, okay? So sometimes, look, we're constantly evolving. We're constantly changing. People are going to go through stages. People are going to go through cycles. There's one particular good friend of mine who years ago, this same thing happened, kind of bailed on the friendship group, saw us less and less and less, to the extent that we just never saw her, dropped off. You know, we stopped messaging each other. She was so heavily invested in this relationship. She kind of like dropped off the radar completely to be in this relationship. And the rest of the group, of our group, was a bit like, we've tried, we've reached out. It is what it is. And there was no energy coming her way. And we had to respect it. At the end of the day, we're all adults here. Like, we can't hold your hand through life being like, oh, but you're going to make a mistake. You're going to regret this. Years later, probably 2 years later, they broke up. She had no friends, and she kind of like, without trying to be rude, came crawling back. And that's when we had the opportunity to decide, like, do we want her back in the group or not? And all of us unanimously decided, yeah, we do. We fucking love her. She's a legend. Like, she's fucking an idiot for bailing on such a good group of friends. But we love her, and fuck it. If she's still the biggest legend and whatever, then of course we want her back in the group. And so she came back in the group. And I think that it really solidified the relationship with all of us, because since then, when she has had romantic relationships, she's really maintained to put in the effort with our friendship group more so than anyone else. Like, she is just like really diehard, really, really tries. It's almost like she learned a really deep life lesson in that. And it's been amazing. And it would have been such a mistake if, we didn't want her back in the group. So there's that as an outcome. That's a possibility. But it did take us letting nature take its course, if that's kind of how you want to say it. At the end of the day, you have to let people live their life based on their decisions, whether you think it's the right decision for them or not. If your friend here, or ex-friend, is really choosing to be with this person over friendships, to kind of isolate themselves and get so sucked into that honeymoon bubble that it erodes at other friendships, this is where you make a decision for yourself and you say, you know what? That's your decision. Whether I agree with it or not, it's irrelevant, because it's your life and it is your decision. It can still hurt me. I can still acknowledge the pain, but it is what it is. But at the same time, I'm not your guardian. I can't tell you what you should and shouldn't do. I can't be steering you and forcing you into this friendship that I value so much, but maybe you just don't value as much as I do. I can't do that. And at the end of the day, no matter what people say, it is the actions that matter the most. I'm all for giving people a couple of months of grace when they first meet a partner and be like, all right, you're being a dickhead, but you're excited, it's the start of the relationship, I'm going to give you grace here. But if it's ongoing again and again and again, then I'm fucking hanging up my gloves. I'm going to be like, you know what? I'm done fighting for this. Like, love you so much, but you know where to find me. I'm going to stop pushing. You don't beg for someone's attention. A real friendship is reciprocal. You should never have to beg. But you weren't there for me, and this, like, fuck it. If they can't say that they weren't there for you, that they're lacking in the components of what makes a decent friend. If she can't see that not being there for you when your dog died is fucked up for a best friend, it's on her. That's her problem. It's not your problem. It feels like it's your problem, but it's not your problem. You're making it your problem, okay? So you need to be like, this person has lost track of what a friendship means, okay? If they can't be there for you in the crucial times of your life, then they don't value you right now. It's not to say that they're not going to come around and regret their actions and evolve as a friend later on, but you can't predict that. But you're going to look at what's happening right now. You're also not here to punish her, but you're going to say, you know what, you're not being a good friend. You're not being a good friend, and I've highlighted that to you. You've taken offense to that. It's not my job to baby you through you being offended. We are adults. Like I said in the last listener question, we're all fucking adults. If you want to be babied through this, do it, but not on my watch. I'm not the one who has to then apologize for pulling you up on something that normal adults could be pulled up on. Okay? If you're going to abandon me as a friend during these hard times and you say, and your defensive reaction is to say that you're walking on eggshells, that's not walking on eggshells. That's me pulling all the weight in the friendship, you doing fuck all, me pulling you up and then you getting offended because I've called you out on your fucked behavior as a friend. Okay? So this is what I would do if I were you. You've reached out to her. She's left you unread. I wouldn't do anything. I'm sorry, but I wouldn't do anything. There's nothing left to say. The only way I would reach out again, the only way, is if you look back and look at how you reached out and said, look, was I passive aggressive? Do I really want to salvage this friendship? Whatever. Then then maybe you could reach out one final time and say, you know what? I've thought long and hard about this. I really love you. I love the friendship that we had. I don't want this to be the end. However, I also need to respect where you're at and if you even want this friendship or not. I'm going to put the ball in your court, but know that if you ever reach out to me, I'm here to talk. I'm an open book. I'm here to chat. Let's talk. The invitation is open. Anytime you want to reach out, I'm here, but this is it. It's now in your court. So that's an option that you can do, but you've got to be willing for that to actually be it. You then can't be like, oh, maybe 6 months later, it's time to reach out. No, can't. No, she hasn't lost your number. She knows how to reach you. You need to respect yourself a little bit more. Someone's a shit friend. And then after you give them space and then reach out, you're the one that takes initiative to reach out. She's still a shit friend. She probably just doesn't care, at least not now. And if that's the case, you need to mirror that energy. You need to I'll match your energy. Message received, can't. All right? So that's what you're going to do. You're going to do nothing or send that one final message if you think that you were like catty or rude or hurtful. But I feel like you weren't. So that's what I would do. Just be a bit more empowered in this. I know it sucks, but we're not here to beg. Next. Subject 30, thriving but not vibing. Help. Hi, Alexis, long-time listener who's finally writing in to get your gold standard advice and tough love. About 3 years ago, I left my 4+ year relationship after a very difficult several months that involved my partner cheating, more me trying to work through it, and ultimately him not being able/willing to make the changes. We lived together, had a pet, and had a timeline for getting engaged. It was a big upheaval in my life. In many real ways, your podcast episodes helped me see clearly that he was not the person I deserve and empowered me to leave the relationship that I really believed was it for me. Picture me weeping, but doing it in a sauna for the benefits. Love that so much for you. And yeah, like tactical cry while in a sauna. Tick, 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 tick. I spent the next year revamping my life. I moved, I started new hobbies and built healthy, amazing relationships. I did so much work on myself, and I was and still am incredibly proud of myself for putting myself first. I feel I felt amazing. About 2 years ago, I started dating again, but quickly realized I was seeking out relationships that would never work out, either because the guy was not aligning with my values, often politics to be honest, wasn't emotionally available, or was literally across the country, emotionally and physical distance, jackpot. I've recently moved back to the area I want to end up in, and I've made a dedicated effort to break old patterns around dating. I really have pushed myself to be vulnerable and give dating a real go with people who actually align with my values. But I'm struggling to feel the spark with anyone. I will go on a few dates with some that go well. I have fun, we laugh, we have things in common, but then I just feel nothing. I'm worried that I see the flaws in my ex everywhere, and the moment I get even a whiff of lack of emotional accountability, I'm out of there. I would love your thoughts on why this is happening and how I can give myself the chance to meet another amazing partner. I know I deserve to be with someone who respects me and my needs, and someone who I respect and even admire. I'm 30 and I would love to find my person. The cherry on top of all of this is that I found out my ex recently got engaged. We don't speak. He's not active on social media, so I was surprised, and I have to admit it was a punch in the gut. I felt so disappointed that it impacted me as much as it did, as I really don't have any desire to be with him. But these wounds run deep. It felt as though he never had to take responsibility for what he put me through or even learn from it. And it's highlighted for me how his life is moving forward in ways that I'm seeking for myself. I know comparison is a thief of joy, but I think finding out forced me to reckon with my own dissatisfaction with my own dating life and question why. I'm trying hard to give myself grace and time, but it's tough. Any insight you can give would be so great. Thank you. Okay, so this is a difficult situation that you find yourself in. Let's first address this whole him getting engaged. I know you don't want to compare. It's hard not to compare. That's just the reality. How can you not? Because you both obviously broke up at the same time. And then your lives headed in different directions, and then you're going to look at where they're at versus where you're at. Now, not that it matters, because when someone's not in your life, you don't want to try and bring them back and try and make them relevant in your life when they're not directly involved anymore. However, you did mention here that, where is it? It feels as though he never had to take responsibility for what he put me through or even learn from it. Maybe he did. Maybe that's why he's now engaged. And, maybe he, not that it matters, but what I'm saying is that instead of thinking this person walked away completely unscathed, they didn't walk away unscathed. They lost the relationship with you. You ended it. And rightly so. Like, he was obviously not treating you well. You were worth more, all of that. So number one, there was a repercussion there. They lost the relationship with you, which could have been quite a successful, nice relationship, and that's on them. Maybe they learnt from it and this is why they're engaged, or maybe they're always avoiding and running away and he's now in the next best thing and he's gotten engaged, and that's that. You can't look at someone's relationship and say they are happy or they are unhappy or they are accountable or they're not accountable. We have no idea. And you also don't want to be like, well, he must be a bit miserable either. You just want to look at that as for what it is. It's a relationship that I know nothing about. End of story. End of story. Hopefully he learned his lesson. Hopefully for his sake and for his fiance's sake that he learned a lesson. Hopefully he learned from his behaviors, what's right and what's wrong, and he's not going to mirror those behaviors in this new relationship. All these things that you can hope for, but at the end of the day, wish you all the best. There you go. Have a good life. Okay? So as far as that is concerned, we can just hope that this person learned a lesson for the sake of their future relationships. And the reason it's impacted you is purely because you're comparing timelines. I know you don't want to compare, but it's hard not to when you're kind of in this like crossroads of where you're at with relationships. Now, one thing that you've done, look, you're back where you want to live. You found where you want to like set your roots. That's important. You're saying that I worry that I see flaws in my ex everywhere, and the moment I get even a whiff of a lack of emotional accountability, I'm out of there. I think something that we really need to be aware of is, have we allowed our wounds to heal? Because often we'll look at any excuse that we think that might hurt me in the future. This might hurt me. This is going to catch me off guard. So I'm going to cut it. I'm going to end it. I'm going to cut it. Or you're not exactly how, and so you're not getting close to anyone. You're not getting close to anyone. you haven't really healed those wounds yet. You haven't, and what I mean by healing those wounds is coming to terms with like really closing that chapter. Really closing that chapter and saying that hurt, I was hurt. I was in a vulnerable position. I had to like regroup and heal. And you've done so much work on yourself. You have. But you've also got to ask yourself, like, why am I so scared to let someone hurt me again? Because yeah, it sucks. No one wants to be hurt. But you also don't want to be stuck in a position where you're telling yourself, I can't ever get hurt again. Because you can. Now, hopefully not. But if you tell yourself, I can never let myself get hurt again, then the result of that is I can never let myself drop my walls down. I can never let myself be vulnerable, because you know that it would require falling in love in order for you to get hurt. So if you put two and two together, you're going to think, well, as long as I don't really fall in love, then I can never get hurt. That's your solution. Subconsciously, that's your solution. That's why we have, this avoidant response. I've got to avoid, but at least I'll survive. I'll be fine. But you're not fine because you're not satisfied. So what you need to tell yourself, this is one thing you need to figure out. Whether you drop your walls down or whether you don't, if you fall in love with someone, you can still fall in love with someone with your walls up. Okay? So you're going to get hurt just as much, if not more. People think that if I don't show the vulnerable side of me, then I can never really get hurt. Bullshit. You get hurt worse. And the reason for that is you still feel the feelings, but they don't see a side of you. Then they leave. Then you get really hurt because you think, I had something and I lost it when I could have had something really good because I wasn't vulnerable. So then you think, not only am I heartbroken that I've lost this opportunity, but I also know that I fucked up because I didn't give them my best self. I didn't actually show them who I really was in this relationship. We didn't give this the best chance possible because I refused to be vulnerable. So it's a fallacy that we like to believe of, well, if I have my walls up, then I can never get hurt. You will get hurt more with your walls up. So I think you're looking for excuses in people to not get hurt. You're saying, if I see a whiff of emotional unavailability, I also think you've got, within reason, okay, if someone's an emotional dud, it is not your job to hold their hand and coach them through life, okay? But I also think that it's important for you to look at what it is that you see as a whiff of emotional unavailability. And sometimes just with gentle steering, people can open up and learn, because sometimes like you're being emotionally unavailable right now. And what if someone saw that in you and thought, red flag, but you're like a catch. So I think it's important to understand that everyone comes from their own journey. As long as it's not red flag energy, toxic, manipulative. If someone showed, they're a little bit, then I think maybe this person's been hurt in the past. Maybe it's worth investing in this relationship a little bit. Maybe it's worth spending time with this person. And then if I see, there's a lot that this person has to offer, but they're a little bit emotionally unavailable, once, not on the first date, but once I've gotten to know them a bit more, maybe this is something we can explore. And maybe it's something that this person, while we're building our relationship together, can work on healing as well. It's not the worst thing in the world to date someone who's had a broken heart and who's got their walls up a little bit, as long as you're both on the same page about let's work through this together. I've also been hurt. Let's just be open and honest and whatever. You might find a gem who's just had like a rough trot and who's like trying to recover and come out the other side. You don't also want to dismiss every single person. The aim isn't to date someone who's perfection, flawless, the most secure touch person in the world, everything's going to be fine, because there's still very, very good people that have insecure attachments out there and that have like emotional unavailability issues. Like most of us, I reckon, enter relationships in that way. So I think you're doing yourself a disservice having this very strict kind of entrance criteria into your life when you yourself are still hurting and you yourself, have that, we all have these things. So as long as it's not like this is unhealthy, toxic red flag kind of standard, I think you need to be a little bit more patient with certain people and ask yourself, could I see myself in this person with how they are emotionally unavailable? Is this something that maybe is just due to them having also been heartbroken or cheated on, and they're a little bit tentative when they're entering the dating world. I think when you are a lot calmer and a lot more gentle and a lot more understanding with people, you give you a warmer energy, then you yourself drop your walls down, and you might start discovering things in other people that you're like, wow, I never would have thought about dating you, but after like the 5th date, I'm discovering things about you that's fucking awesome, and now you're dropping your walls, and now we're having a lot of fun, and then you start to discover, because like I always say, you can't really know who a person is until you learn about their character, and character is learned over months. So I think it's so important to, I would just give people a little bit more time and patience, and as long as they're treating you with respect, I would see where things could go. And I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised that there's some gems out there if you are willing to like just wait and be patient and look for them. Thank you so much, guys. I said this is like we're reaching the time now. So I did say I was going to answer 4 questions, but the 3 is all there is because I was delving deep. So you're going to have to wait till next week to listen to the 4th one. Guys, love you so much. That is all for today's episode. Great fucking questions coming through. Keep sending them through. That is all for today. As always, remember, be kind to yourself. Be kind to your brain. Don't take shit from anyone, and especially don't take shit from yourself. Danke.